Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritland. I'm John Ritland. This is part 11 of my top 100 least favorite horror movies list, whereas it's actually my second time reshooting it. And the reason is I had in the can, I actually had it ready to upload later this week or possibly Monday or Tuesday. But I suddenly remembered coming up with other movie lists that I will shoot at some point. Indie horror films worth your time and indie horror films not worth your time. Where I came up with another movie that I'll get to in a bit that I remember absolutely despising that was a horror movie. So I readjusted the top six just a little bit. I did take out Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher is absolute dog shit and deserves a special mention because of the fact that Morgan Freeman somehow got convinced to be in this. I mean, Tom Sizemore drugged up and out of his mind, not really shocking given what Tom Sizemore's been doing with himself. Sure, okay, that was a little comedic. Him trying to act serious, that was adorable. It was also a shit movie with the stupid alien subplot or weird creatures subplot and them kind of making fun of mentally handicapped people in the movie. I mean, I don't know if that was the intention. Maybe I just interpreted the whole damn thing wrong, but they kind of made fun of that. But you had a bunch of friends with a psychic bond and shit, and it was crap. It was absolute crap. So it would actually deserve maybe be 6B on here. Because 6A, number 6, is House of the Dead. Uwe Boll should never be allowed near a video camera again. He shouldn't even be allowed to have a cell phone with a camera setting on it. Because he keeps making shit movies. He doesn't know how to make anything good. He doesn't know how to do anything with any kind of budget or whatever. He does horrible things to the source material. But House of the Dead is based on the popular video game series of shoot 'em ups where, you know, it's a light gun shooter and you shoot zombies and stuff like that, and you try to get to the end and reload, shoot off screen and shoot the guy. Okay, cool. Here's the thing about it. Besides some brief shots of the gameplay footage that they splice in between some scenes, this movie could barely pass for anything in the 80s because of how bad the special effects was. The lighting was terrible. The logic was all ass backwards. These kids, these teens, 20-somethings go to this island where Sega's hosting a party because Sega did the House of Dead video games. Back when Sega sort of meant something, the Dreamcast was just starting to fade away. But Sega meant a little something still. Until Sonic 06 came out. That pretty much destroyed it along with Sonic Boom. You have all these kids going to this island. Okay, cool, party on an island. The undead's there. People start getting killed. The people there are the survivors. 1 minute they're running away like crazy. Oh, we can't defend ourselves. We can't do anything. We're falling over, tripping, this kind of stuff. And then the next minute they're pulling off Matrix gun moves. Swinging axes. They're just using a whole bunch of weapons and using guns like they're suddenly military trained, or like, 10 years of military training. It was just insane. The wire effects were terrible. The special effects were terrible. The acting was terrible. The whole concept of the movie just existing was bad. Just bad in general. It was explosively bad. Very, very bad. One of the worst things I've ever seen. Uwe Boll destroyed any hope of video game movies really being any good with stuff like this. I mean, Alone in the Dark, which I did mention a little bit earlier in the list, I believe part 9 if I remember right, it was pretty bad. I mean, I only have part of the list here, so forgive me if I don't remember all the stuff, and sorry, I've done a lot of shows, so it's kind of hard to rank some of these. House of Dead was just fucking terrible though. No good acting, villain was terrible, everything was bad. So anyway, and by the way, guys, thanks for putting up with my voice. Still dealing with After Effects being sick. I think I'm always going to have this. So I'll have days where my voice is good. I'll have days where my voice is bad. But thank you guys for putting up with me. Anyway, House of Dead was terrible. Now we move on to Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. What do you do when you take a popular indie movie and try to pump it up and make it like it's a reality TV thing? Where a bunch of people stay in a weird place in the woods and try to do something supernatural and then wake up and they can't remember any of this shit and they're being investigated by the police. What do you do with that? Well, you make one of the worst movies ever. It was this was bad. It was like a no-name cast. I actually think the guy from Burn Notice, it would be in Burn Notice later, Jeffrey Donovan, I believe is his name, was in this. He was okay. Nobody was good in this movie. I mean, you tried to take the source material, something that was indie horror. They tried to make it like it was real. Obviously, it wasn't real. They wouldn't have been able to maintain the rights to the film if it was legit real. They did play it off like it was real for a number of months. But this movie, it's like, okay, so let's do this stuff with the cast. The cast wasn't very interesting. I mean, they tried. There was like about that much material, and they're trying to put it over a cast of like, say 7 or 8, and it was not good. Nothing good about it. No scares. Movie made no damn sense. And even when it tried to make sense, you're like, okay, but there's logic holes here, here, and here. And then it got overly simplified, and then they tried to make it complicated. They couldn't decide on a flow. It was so unwatchably bad. And I watched it recently when it was on Netflix. It was Netflix or Hulu. It was one of the two. And it was shameful. It was shameful. This movie, it was like 5 to 10 million, I think, that they put into this movie. I think around 10 million. And probably a little more in advertising. And I'm like, this is it? They managed to make the Blair Witch Project on a $60,000 budget and actually managed to make it better than this. Proving a lot of times the bigger budget doesn't a better movie make. A little Yodaism for you there. Yeah, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Embarrassing. Absolutely 1,000% embarrassing. It was atrocious. It wasn't a movie atrocious, which did make an appearance in my top 10, because that movie was bad, but given what it did, given how it tainted the themes of the first movie, this actually deserves to be this high. Now, don't get me wrong, the Blair Witch 2016 edition deserved the spot that it got, and actually probably should have been ranked higher, but it was in the top 40, because it was pretty shit. And now we go to number 4, Children of the Living Dead. It's like they took the lens cap off, but they couldn't, so they just used a box cutter or used a knife to like cut off the lens cap, but they didn't quite cut it all off. So there's like this weird thing, like where it's just like this, like you only see like this much of the film. And it's not always like that, but it's weird. I don't know if they were trying to make it like it was a centralized focus, or the camera just wasn't that good, or they just didn't care. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's like it was in a weird time. It would have worked better if they just played this strictly for laughs, but they tried to play it serious, and it really bombed. It bombed badly. I mean, really badly. I don't think it was ever out in theaters, and if it was, it didn't last very long. But this was one of those where makeup effects were crap, and it could have been a really, really small budget. It could have been very, very, cheap. But other movies have done well with a cheap budget as far as zombie effects and this kind of stuff, and it was like they had no idea. They either had no funding or they had no vision, or something. Maybe it was hampered. Maybe it was hampered by a cheap production schedule, and they had to do it only in 2 weeks. There's a lot of stuff depending on facts you can read about. I encourage people to do that stuff, because Children of the Living Dead, probably the worst of the Living Dead films that were out there. Yes, even worse than Diary of the Dead, which was really bad. I almost ranked that one higher, but I'm like, no, they tried. They just failed miserably with it. I will be right back, folks. Okay, folks, just a little break there to clear my throat, which still didn't quite work, and to get a drink. Thank you guys for waiting. Not that you knew. I took about a 20-minute break, so thank you guys, though, folks, for sticking around for these videos. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, Children of the Living Dead was really, really bad, and now things got stupid. Because we're going to talk about the movie Bug with Ashley Judd and Michael Shannon, who's a really goddamn good actor. Harry Connick Jr. was in this. And what in the world was this? I mean, what was this? What was this goddamn movie? It was directed apparently by the same guy that directed The Exorcist. And it was unbelievably bad. I can't even find the proper words for it. It was just explosively bad. Unbelievably rotten and terrible and everything. And by the way, William Friedkin, I forgot how to pronounce his name for a second, the guy that made The Exorcist. I personally feel The Exorcist is overrated, but I can see why people like that movie. It certainly wasn't a great movie in my personal opinion, but I can see why people liked it. But there was no reason for Bug to exist. You had Ashley Judd was a lonely woman that got to that felt that Michael Shannon offered her a ray of hope or whatever. He was like a weird paranoid guy and everything. And by the way, William Friedkin, his other movie before this, he directed The Hunted with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones, which was actually a pretty fun movie. It wasn't a great movie, but it was a fun movie. But Bug, it's like Michael Shannon's some war veteran who claims that the military bugged him and put stuff in his skin and everything and put stuff all over the house. And after spending the night together, he makes Ashley Judd think she's infected, this kind of stuff, that he may have infected her and he didn't mean to. And so they're holed up in a house and all this weird stuff starts not really happening because nothing fucking goddamn happens in this motherfucking abortion of a movie. And Ashley Judd, who is a beautiful woman, still is to this very day. Michael Shannon, great actor. Harry Connick Jr., very good actor. Very good singer also. My sister happens to be a big fan of him. No. You look at these three, you're like, okay, the movie mainly focuses on Ashley Judd and Michael Shannon. Oh, good grief. It was listed an hour and 42 minutes, and it felt like about 42 years. Nothing happens in this except Michael Shannon and Ashley Judd sort of scream and freak out about stuff that doesn't really happen. There's no mood. There's no good lighting. There's no good atmosphere. Whatever William Friedkin was trying to accomplish with this movie, well, he failed fucking miserably and shouldn't have been allowed to direct another damn movie. Now, if it wasn't all his fault and it was the studio's fault, then okay. But I would think somebody with his legacy of doing a couple decent horror movies, he helped on The French Connection, for God's sakes. The French Connection, which was a really good movie. And I just mentioned The Hunted from a couple years before Bug came out. And I'm watching it and I'm like, what is this? I'm like 10, 15 minutes in and I'm like, okay, whatever, maybe it'll get better. About 30 minutes in, I'm ready to claw my eyes out. An hour in, I'm just waiting for everybody to die. And it wasn't a very big cast in the movie, so the body count wasn't going to be very big. This was so fucking embarrassing. It was so fucking embarrassing. I mean, what in the world was this movie? What was it? Did I just not get it? Was there some deeper meaning with it? I mean, it was conspiracy theory nuts may love it. People that feel there's always something in their skin, like drug heads, might love it. I don't know. I mean, and look, maybe other people watching this enjoyed Bug. If you did, fine. Cool. Great. It affected you in a positive way or scared you or whatever, and that's fine. I'm just going to say it, that's fine. But I hated this movie. I would have burned every single copy of this movie in a video store if I could have. And video stores were still around in 2006, 2007 when this came out. Every reel of it in movie theaters should have been incinerated. This was an embarrassment. An embarrassment of filmmaking. And I just don't get why anybody found it appealing. But if you guys did, great. I just don't understand how anybody could have funded this. Somebody from the studio wouldn't have come in 2 weeks later, seen this, and been like, F it, we're pulling the funding, or we're putting a director in charge of it, or maybe we should write a goddamn script and not have Judd and Shannon yell a whole bunch and freak out and get all covered and dirty and everything. And don't get me wrong, Ashley Judd has never been the greatest actress, but she's a good actress. And I personally could have seen this working if it was any better than it was. I mean, if it had a script or if it had something, but it didn't. It was a trash movie. Trash. It should never see the light of day again. It is really bad. But there are two movies that are worse. So if you thought that rant was bad, wait for this. Nightmare Man. It was known as a cult film. I don't know who in the hell would like this movie. And again, anybody watching, you like it? Fine. Cool. It's actually making me choke having to try and say anything positive about this. But there is nothing positive about this. A woman named Ellen, she gets an African fertility mask of some kind. And then gets, like, her and her husband, I guess it's like something that they're going to use to spice up their relationship or whatever. I don't know. Not a lot in this movie is explained. And anything that is explained isn't very interesting, but she gets assaulted by either the mask or a figure wearing the mask, and suddenly this demon has possessed her, but she's not aware of this, and the demon just by the time or just, starts spinning a pen in its fingers, this kind of stuff, GoldenEye style, even though I can't do it like he did, does all that stuff. And then suddenly right in there, it's like she keeps having visions, no one believes her, so they go to like this retreat in this cabin or this beach house. No, it's a forest, actually, it's not a beach house. I might be confusing that with a Fear Street book. Which, yes, Fear Street books, I enjoyed those. They should have turned those into TV movies. I like R.L. Stein. But anyway, so you're watching it and you're like, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Maybe it's going to be cheap little horror. This kind of stuff, and it, oh my god, this movie, I mean, I do not understand why anybody thought that this was a good idea. So I mean, let's just get the description up here. It's like, let's see, after receiving an African fertility mask as a gift, Ellen tells her husband William that she's been attacked by a masked phantom called the Nightmare Man. As her paranoia increases, William takes for a road trip to a clinic, only to have their car break down, and then Ellen is attacked for real during this whole thing. And it was just ridiculous. Let's just read through the whole thing. Ellen is attacked for real by Nightmare Man. Fleeing through dense woods, they seek shelter in a remote cabin with some of her friends. But the Nightmare Man comes down and attacks them. And, yeah. And apparently Ellen has the evil inside her. And that was pretty much the whole thing of the movie. Eventually bodies start dancing or acting weird and stuff like that. Dead bodies that are in the cabin, which could have been actual dead bodies for all I know. I mean, they were the most alive performances in the movie, let me say that much. I didn't expect much from this movie, especially when I read the term African fertility mask and masked phantom. I was like, okay, this is going to be shit, but maybe it'll be fun shit. Maybe it'll be ridiculous. Nope, this was bad. One girl tries to get rid of the demon, and then she ends up getting possessed by the thing that goes through her crotch to possess her. It's like the problem with possession movies like this is if you don't try to do something at least a bit original but have fun with it. If you don't try to play it for laughs a little bit, and I'm not saying make it completely comedic, but if you don't try to have a little bit of a tone where you can laugh at it, and you try to play it straight serious when you got a goofy premise like this, it's not going to work, and this didn't work. This was cheap. It was bad. Cast was bad. Sorry. Anybody, I'm sure you guys tried. The director, you guys sure as hell didn't know what the hell you were doing. It was the director and the writer were the same guy, so... Well, at least he knew what the hell he was doing, because he must have known his material was shit. And Nightmare Man was shit. The second worst horror movie I've ever seen. And number one, Satan's Little Helper. You fucking stupid ass motherfucking movie. I mean, my God. And I'm just going to pull up the IMDb page for this one. Because this cast deserves to be laid into. Look, they may have tried. This was not good. This was not a good movie at all. They say it's a comedy horror. Well, it was neither funny and it was neither horrifying, except for how fucking awful it was. A naive young boy unwillingly becomes the pawn of a serial killer. Kids playing a game. Playing a video game on like the worst knockoff of a Game Boy Advance you've ever seen in your damn life. And he oh God. He's playing a video game. He dresses up like his favorite character, which is the main the main character in the video game, and is going around and finds out that his older sister's going to bring a boyfriend home, so he flees, and then he sees somebody else dressed up like the character. And it's like, okay, cool, the game's come to life, because he's a fucking idiot. I mean, I know the kids are naive, but good God, this kid, it seems like he was lobotomized before he was born. And then they re-lobotomized him. They cut half of his brain in half, so he has a quarter. So maybe he somehow wasn't half drooling on himself every damn time. And I mean the character. I don't mean the actor. This wasn't something where you were going to know about the acting being that good. But anyway, yeah, Douglas. His name was Dougie. Teach him how to Dougie. Yeah, the whole stupid dance. So yeah, let's see. He sees the guy on the street, the guy doing the killings, asks him to kill the sister's boyfriend, which he does succeed in. I mean, he even brings murder home at one point. And I mean, I'm just reading the IMDb thing because I'm just trying to do this, but it's like, oh Jesus, this movie is so embarrassing. I mean, it's like it's hard to describe it. And it was set on an island, if I remember right. I mean, and it was a fairly small island, yet at the same time you didn't get this feel that it was claustrophobic. You just felt people were stupid for, I don't know, not owning a gun and shooting the damn guy in the head, because the mask couldn't have been, worth any kind of damn material. This budget maybe was 50 grand. If the budget was more than 100 grand, I would have been amazed. 50 grand's more likely. The kid believes, it's like all happy that this stuff's happening or whatever, and he's playing along with the game. And then the killer at one point, you never find out the killer's identity, not that it matters, because I probably would just slap the guy playing him. The killer ends up killing Dougie's dad, wrapping it, moving his intestines in like this weird, like spinning thing, and it's like really hard to describe it. And it's ridiculous. And of course, the kid's freaking out because, oh my God, all this stuff of this guy killing people. I didn't know he was an actual killer, because you're a fucking idiot, kid. That's what you are. It's like, I never have rooted for a child character in a movie to die. But everybody deserved to die in this movie. Everybody. Why in the world did this movie exist? And I mean, serious question. Because you're taking a look at the guy, and you know what the funniest thing is? The guy that directed this, and I actually looked this up just before, directed a couple movies that weren't that bad. He directed Squirm, the one about the kid. If you've seen MST, you'll know. The one about the worms that attack people. That stuff was actually not that bad for how cheap it was. He directed Blue Sunshine, which was a fairly underrated horror classic that I saw on Shudder, and Shudder's a really good streaming service. Just Before Dawn wasn't too bad. But then he didn't really direct much after that. He directed Remote Control, which was shit. But the only movie he's directed since is Satan's Little Helper. And it's not shocking. Now, I don't know if it's just because of age or whatever, because the director's apparently going to be, is 70. I don't know if he's got a family or not. And look, I hope that if you do have a family, you apologize to them and apologize to the goddamn world for what you did here. This movie, and Jeff Lieberman, by the way, I want to say the director's name. I wanted to cut him some slack because he directed 2 movies that I actually enjoyed. Satan's Little Helper is one of the worst abominations ever. Not only should every print be incinerated, anybody that has copies of it, throw it in the damn fire. Burn every single copy of it. This movie. It doesn't make you root for the killer. It doesn't make you root for the heroes. There's no heroes. There's no nothing. Everybody has to do something stupid to advance the goddamn plot. Everybody is doing crap things and never thinks to leave the damn island. Oh, we can't leave the island because of this. There's got to be a damn boat you could take. And you don't. You just scream and whine and everything. And the kid, who I'm sorry is one of the most annoying child actor characters in any movie. This was, my God, this was bad. This was so, I hate this movie so much, and I hate the director for giving it to us, and the fact that he wrote it. I hate the fact that you were allowed to write it. This was terrible. Now, again, this came out in 2006, so he was actually in his late 50s when he directed it. He was almost 60 when he directed it. If it was funny, but not horrifying, I would have been okay with it. If it was horrifying, but not funny, I would have been okay with it. If it was even kind of funny and kind of horrifying, I could have forgiven it. This was an exercise in pure goddamn torture. Pure torture. And I hate this movie so much, and I hope I hope that many of you agree. Now, I don't want anybody from this movie to be unable to go on and do other movies. But if you guys enjoyed your time on this set, okay, cool. But I'm just going to say this as a viewer, as somebody that likes horror movies. This was neither funny, this was neither horrifying, except for the fact of how horrifying it was to watch and endure and barely scrape by. I felt like at the end of Quarantine, I actually Wreck is better. At the end of Wreck, when the girl's in the apartment and she gets pulled back, that's how, pull back into the darkness. That's what I felt like every single damn thing, where I tried to get through this movie and I kept getting pulled back because the movie was agonizingly slow, agonizingly awful. Nothing was good about it. It wasn't comedic. This literally could have passed for something in 1984. It actually could have. It was so cheaply done, cheaply shot. It actually might have it could have looked like it was even filmed before Squirm and Blue Sunshine. And again, two movies that actually weren't that bad. But yeah, Jeff Lieberman, sorry. I hope you're never allowed to direct another movie again. And if you are, I hope that you have somebody watching over you to make sure you don't make an abortion of a movie like this. Satan's Little Helper was rotten. Absolutely horrifyingly rotten. And I hate it. I hate this movie so much. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this look. I had to get this stuff out about these movies. I will be doing some more positive stuff, and let's just look at the positives of this list before I bring this video to a close. Got a lot of stuff out about, my anger towards these movies. And I enjoyed making this list. I always enjoy these rants. I always enjoy the positive, the negative shows that I do, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying these videos. Let me know what you thought of this whole countdown if you've seen the whole thing. If not, watch the whole thing. Give it a shot. I know it's a lot of time to divulge, but you'll have time when I'm not able to shoot as many movies for a few weeks and my channel goes just slightly inactive, but I'll still do videos with Chris, the Derpinator, and the pay-per-view reviews and the Raw and SmackDown reviews. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed these movie reviews and these movie countdowns. If you want to see other ones, let me know what specific theme you would like, and I will consider it, and I will even plug your YouTube or Twitter handle. Let me know in the comments, so let me know on Twitter. My Twitter handle's in the description. Also, like, share, subscribe. Been real honesty with Jarmithlin. I'm Jarmithlin. I'll see you all soon.